Welcome to Secrets for an Inspirational Life with Mimi Novic, the place where every heart tells its story. Whether it's inspiration, courage or hope you need, you've come to the right place. Sit back and enjoy the journey with us. Subscribe below to be sure you don't miss future episodes.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Secrets for an Inspirational Life. How are you all? I hope that life has its moments of tranquility and peace amongst all these things that are going on in the world. And somehow what is going on in the world is also a reflection of what is going on inside of us, to find the courage, to find the love, to rise above everything that happens to us, and ultimately to find our true purpose, whatever that may be. And I, for one, believe that each one of us has this incredible divine spark that is there to be lit. Sometimes we meet the most extraordinary people who are placed on our path, either to teach us, to leave us, to love us. But ultimately, for us to be who we were meant to be from the moment before time. Now, I am absolutely delighted to welcome back a very special guest today, and that is the wonderful Russell Andrews. Russell is an Olivier Award-winning actor, director and author whose distinguished career in theatre spans more than 3 decades. He is the founding member of the acclaimed Los Angeles-based stage company, StageWalkers, and he has also been widely recognized for his outstanding contribution to the performing arts, receiving numerous accolades throughout his career. Alongside his celebrated work in theatre, he has established a strong presence in television and film, appearing in acclaimed productions including Insecure, Better Call Saul, Grey's Anatomy, Harry's Law, CSI, Miami and Boston Legal, amongst many others. His performance in TVOne's critically acclaimed Runaway Island earned him Emmy consideration for Outstanding Lead Actor. Russell's additional film credits include the award-winning Reset, The In-Laws alongside Michael Douglas and Albert Brooks, as well as The Punisher starring John Travolta and Thomas Jane. Beyond his work in entertainment, he is deeply committed to humanitarian and social causes, actively supporting organizations dedicated to helping the homeless community, including the Hollywood Food Coalition and the Giving Spirit. Recently, Russell was diagnosed with the condition called ALS and has appeared all over the world trying to raise awareness of this illness. Today, he shares his absolutely incredible journey. Welcome, dear Russell.
Good evening, Mimi.
Good
Thank
evening.
you for having me. Yes.
A pleasure always. Always a pleasure. And I have to say, for the people out there in the world, Russell really has an outstandingly strong spirit and soul, something that really is awe-inspiring. And he has appeared before on the podcast, and I know that so many of you asked so many questions and loved our episode together. So it was only right to invite you once again, Russell.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, where do we begin? I'm going to let you begin. I'm going to sort of pass the crown, in effect, to you.
I will first say that I am so honored again to be here. including for the circumstances that we are under. However, as a reminder to your audience, you were the first podcast that I did when I released Shoes, the children's book. So
Yes.
to hear from you again is not at all surprising. And again, this journey we're about to take here on truth and humanity, I think it apropos that we start here. Yes, I was diagnosed in the fall of last year, and it was a moment. I would say I was in the room alone with the neurologist. My family all were traveling, and after I think the final EMG, the needle and nerve study, the machines went off, and Dr. Badi at Cedars, she's, she took a breath and she said, well, Russell, it is what we think it is. It's ALS. So all of a sudden, you hear in your mind, the loud screams and the silence all at once. And without hesitation, because I immediately thought of my family, in particular, my children, and I said, okay, well, what am I looking at? Is it 5 years? Is it 5 months? And I don't know if that was the best question or the right time, but, being professional, she said, well, we don't know. It could be 10 months, could be 10 years. We just don't know enough about it. And then she went into the history of research and where she'd like to start me on certain meds that I wouldn't, forgive me for clearing, that I will say have been working. And that was the approach. I have accepted it over the months. I was quiet for a while. There were only a handful of people I shared with. And because I didn't know what to do with the information, Mimi, I did not want to immediately go into a situation of pity and, looking for somewhere to dump all of this emotionally. I just wanted to sit with it for a while and do a little homework, because as you know, it affects each person differently. There have been people with a diagnosis one day, and within 6 months we are talking about how wonderful they were, as a human. And then there are people who have been with it for years. And I don't know where or how I'll fit into that. But I will have to tell you that the more I talked about it, the better I felt about the journey. And so, we will see. We will see. But you know what? I'm okay. I woke up this morning and I must say, all things being equal, I'm happy. I am.
Your bravery is astounding, and this is something that I would like everybody out there who is listening to feel part of that bravery, because when we hear about brave people, when we see them, when we meet them, there is something profoundly deep on a completely different level where that bravery actually touches us in a way that changes our own life. And even talking to you now, so many things are going through in my mind. And I want to ask you, firstly, so many things, but for people out there listening, if you would be so kind, Russell, and explain what the illness is and what are you trying to do with all your TV appearances and podcasts and news appearances, what you are trying really to achieve?
Well, first of all, to address the point of bravery, I think I surprised myself with that.
Mm-hmm.
And and I read this meme, Mimi, once, and obviously I've never forgotten it. It says, "You don't know how brave you are until brave is all you have left."
I love
And
that quote.
I love it. I don't know. I wish I had
Yes,
written it, but it's beautiful. And there are
it
other
is.
words you can insert in replace of bravery, but on the topic, I feel like that's it. And I'm not going to try to make this anything else than what it is. To manipulate it to soothe my soul and that of my family. It is what it is. I think in terms of the advocacy of it, I am, first of all, I was not forced into advocacy. I'm working with and now an ambassador for the ALS network.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of the many affiliates, but I think the largest, well, I know for a fact, in the U.S. in terms of the caregiving, the awareness, and so I'm really proud to be a part of that. Um, I think my approach to what I'm doing is because it does not. It wouldn't help me to be silent. Um, and there's a lot going on. There are other neurodegenerative diseases. There's Alzheimer's, muscular dystrophy. There are so many. And I think any awareness or awareness for one is awareness for all. I have you have to be careful with friends, quote unquote, in terms of how you say that
Mm-hmm.
in the social media world, not to discount your connections, but I have people that follow me. And I follow people. I love social media. People, have their opinions and I respect that, but I love to hear what people think and feel, even in the mendacity of it sometimes. But because I have somewhat of a following, I thought it best to see what I can do in terms of sharing the word about what's happening. I don't think that everyone, should I say, will be moved to be active based on it, but the awareness, I think, will allow people to see how it exists.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I have a pretty good following. I have friends who have millions because they are in the very public world of entertainment and, in the corporate medical world and what have you. So why not? Um, where we are in I'm going to make it a little bit more specific here. Where we are culturally, and I can only speak to the U.S., but I hope it's everywhere. When we have moments like this, and we are visited by experiences like this within our families, we tend to go inward. We go into the village, as it were, to our church, to our family, to our neighborhoods and what have you. And that's good. And that's as it should be. But there's another element that it's important, and it is knowledge and awareness and being able to share it, because that also is in a very important aspect about moving through this. Everyone's journey is going to be different, but it is somewhat empowering to be able to share with your family and friends and potential caregivers, of which we all will need, how they have resources, even if it's just information, but in different aspects. There are ALS affiliates around the country, Tennessee, Atlanta, Chicago, Georgia. They're everywhere. Hawaii is huge for the ALS network that I'm a part of. So for everyone to know that there is a resource, even if it's just a voice of one of the social workers, that tends to help. So my approach to sharing my info was, it has been therapeutic for me. I guess cathartic is another word, but it has been part of who I've been the majority of my life, being a servant to others, being an ear, being a volunteer. That's just who I am. I've been that for years, and in this little way, I can share this walk and try to put a familiar face on this thing, and hopefully it moves someone. Financially, yeah, we need the funds. I say we, I'm new to the party, but we need the funds. But I say this also, Mimi, based on what I've been seeing, in this very truncated, accelerated bit of knowledge that I've been getting, they are so close. I mean, close. I saw an article in New York Times 2 weeks ago about this one drug they have that kind of, I won't say puts it in remission, but it is, it's working. I got excited,
I can imagine.
SOD one, I got excited, but I had to take a breath as I continued to read. It doesn't work for me. And those who are in the part of it that I'm in, I am what's called sporadic. And, which means it's not generational, it's not genetic in terms of its origins, not from my parents, and my kids moving forward will be okay. I just essentially, I got hit by lightning, and this is what they are, really seriously, aggressively studying the origins of the sporadic behavior of ALS.
what can I say? The words are not enough, really. It really isn't enough. But as I said to you at the beginning, as I listen to you, as you speak, and bravery is a huge thing, and you are so, so brave and so courageous. And what also strikes me is that you are always helping other people. You are a deeply kind person, and you do so much for others. How did you literally, after hearing the diagnosis, manage to turn it around in such a way that you would really be, in a way, one of the leaders in the quest of letting people know out there, making them informed? What happened? How did you gain that courage of spirit to do that? That's what I find absolutely remarkable.
The ALS network, period, end of sentence. Because I did not know what to do. I did not know what to say. I didn't know who to say it to. I didn't know how I was going to say it. Even now, it's still an ongoing thing in terms of where I feel day to day. I was so fortunate that during the COVID years, that's odd to say years, but we didn't work as an artist in our industry for somewhere 2.5 to 3 years before we started to find our footing. And as an actor, and I do okay, but we still have to qualify for our insurance with minimums. I lost my insurance. And so I didn't have it for those years. And then we came out of COVID, and, it's fate will have it. We had a couple of back-to-back writer's strike and actor strike, and oh my God, it seemed like it would never end. But I was able to, once things settled to a degree, I got a couple of jobs back to back, and I was able to get back into the insurance with the Screen Actors Guild, which is tremendous insurance with respect to everyone. We're fortunate as a body to have that. And I immediately went to my doctors because I had lost my other doctor. I went to the doctors at Cedars Sinai, and the young lady, Dr. Al-Bashahi, who's my primary care, within moments, 15 minutes of speaking with her, she knew and sensed something and said she would like to get me to a neurologist. Well, Mimi, with the way medicine and insurance and all of the red tape of that appointment, it'd be months out, right? But she was able to push that through. And within a week, I was sitting with the neurologist and her team, Dr. Badi, and we went through the steps and test after test, and blood draws and this test and swallowing and breathing and occupational therapy. We eliminated all those things until we got to the nerve test. And that's when we discovered what it was. I say all that to say once we did, she immediately told me about the resources for people living with ALS, and that resource that they work with primarily is the ALS network. I spoke to who is now still my social worker contact, Brandon Watley, his co-worker Emma, which led to Allison, who is, I mean, the names are so familiar, they've become family. Eric and Cheryl and Sherry, and all of them who are the brain trust of the ALS network. Once I met them, once I spoke to them, and once I got past the idea that when I see these people either on Zoom or face to face, that they're not looking at me as a person living with ALS, but looking at me as Russell, and they're here to help. That made a difference, because even now I walk around, I'm trying to be selective about how I speak, because I have to speak slower now and be careful, I think. And I try to edit myself before I try to say certain things, because I don't want it to sound bad or different, trying to wrap my mouth around certain phrases or consonants or, combinations. But it is what it is. But I never felt that for them. And when we realized what my personal intentions were and what the possibilities were in terms of advocacy, it was a mutual agreement. And again, there are other people that can do this and do it well. But I think there was a moment that I realized that it's not this is not an exploitation, if you will, of a situation, but an opportunity for both of us. For me, probably more than them, but I have some avenues I think and hope as we move forward that will help them. But I know that the voice that they gave me, the support they gave me, the open arms, sans the whole idea of advocacy and what have you. What they did for me was took me into a family that ironically I didn't know I had, and had been working for decades. I just never met them. So yeah, that's where all that energy and bravery, I guess, if you will, came from.
I think it's one of the most important things, and we've spoken about this before, is this intricate way of human life, that we are all so fragile. And when, for example, the ALS network, or whoever you meet in life, is to accept you or I, oneself, as a human being, that is one of the most greatest honors, I think, because you look beyond our failings as a human. I have so many failings as a human, and we have so many frailties and so many things. We are such delicate beings, us humans. But if we look beyond that and actually embrace something greater about each other, that gives us an enormous amount of courage and faith, I think, in that we can overcome huge obstacles.
I am amazed with for instance, you may know in the UK as well, the wonderful talent and human that we lost recently, that is Eric Dane. Tremendous actor, Grey's Anatomy, Euphoria, and the like, but his work as an ambassador that I am now following, to know that Eric he was successful, so he was of means, let me say that. But to know that our organization, the ALS Network, was there in home with him, no questions asked. And that's who they are with everyone, from Eric to Aaron Lazar to me and some others that I met, and even people who are folks, people who are struggling day to day with this, to know that they are there. And again, there are no questions asked. They try to serve everyone who comes within their reach and to do as much as they can, given the circumstances, to know that they do not put labels on, or you don't have to be a certain person or a certain status to get the benefits of their help, said so much to me. I've had calls from Brandon Watley, who is my social worker, if you will, within the organization, as he's leaving a home, in particular at Mr. Dane's home, just to call and check in and see how I am. And it's not just me. It's an all-day job for them. And that's what they do. And I wonder myself, where do they go to lay down their emotions, their feelings, because they're up, all of them, whether it's on the corporate end, because again, every story is unique and different. And sadly, right now, while there is help, there's still no cure. And even though I speak with Brandon and Alice and Eric Cheryl, they all all this work and advocacy and the things we're doing and the clinical trials, Lord, the clinical trials is where we find how everything is done. It may not be in time for me. And I am of the mind that I'm okay with that. But they don't approach it like that. They're not trying to create this overly, optimistic thing. There's reality to the disease and the outcome. But their support and how they approach it and the humanity in which they do it, I can't say it's unlike anything I've ever seen, because again, I've never been here before, but it's unlike anything I've ever seen. And for all of the weight that comes with this, there's this sense of pride that now when I speak and as I learn to be able to articulate all the information, which I'm careful not to do because I don't want to misspeak. But as I share with the confidence that if I don't know it, I can reach out to them and get it, or have them share it for me. So the family aspect, that's the courage. The intent is that of my nature, and that is to help. And I think I'm okay with it. I think I'm okay looking forward. It won't get better right now, but right now it's not getting worse. So I'm happy. I'm happy, Mimi.
And it's important to know that there is hope. This is one of the most important things in our life is hope. And as long as we are on this planet, there is hope. And you just don't know. And I'm a great believer in miracles.
You know what? I'm learning. Learning.
That you are here talking to me, for me, is a miracle. That
it is.
It really is. And for people listening out there, I know your words are so deep, and I am, as a human being, from one heart to another, from one soul to another, I am deeply grateful to these people that are helping you and other people, because it's still a rarity these days, I think, out there, that there are people left with this, I suppose, deep compassion, and one must have this deep compassion. And I'm reminded in everything that you're saying, this importance of having a compassionate heart, seeing beyond labels, not seeing labels, but seeing people for what they are. And I, for one, never look at what condition someone has or who they are or where they're from. And I always say this, I always say, I'm not interested in what you do. I'm not interested in any of that. I want to know, who are you as a soul?
Yes. Yes. Yes, we are. I'm in a town and a business that at base are all humans who are in pursuit of a love for their passion, to be artists and to be storytellers and singers and what have you, you know. And I am proud to be of that group. I would be remiss if I didn't say there are times we lose ourselves in our own light. And it's not intentional. However, I have found in our community of the most generous, giving, sensitive, and empathetic people I've ever met. Is it because we are artists? Is it because we tell human stories from our platforms or disciplines on TV or stage or whatever? Who knows? I mean, my God, we do sometimes in 3 hours on stage or an hour on television, or where we do more in those hours than some people do in months and weeks. And we are looked upon as if we are sometimes, not all of us, I would say that because I've been I've been out of the view for a while. You know, at times it ebbs and flows, our business, but we are viewed sometimes as if we have these wonderful lives. And we do. We do.
Yes.
You know, when it's good, it's really good. But when it's not, you know, it can be difficult. But what I have found, and I would say this to a man, from the friends that I have that are actual close friends away from our work, who have millions of followers and obviously have been very monetarily successful, to the people who are starting out, to a man, when asked for their words, their voice, their efforts, oftentimes their dollars to whatever degree they can share, it's never been enough. Of the volunteers out here, there are so many that are artists in New York, and it has been for years, you know, with the AIDS foundations and other things. The artists have always come through because within our community, of artists, if you will, exists everything. The challenges physically, mentally, they all are represented here in the artistic community. So it is not at all foreign that you will see us reaching out to be of service, to lend our time, to lend our voice, and when we can, our money. That is consistent with who we are. We take stories and we tell them, and we hold up the mirror to society. And from that, we learn. We learn every script, every commercial, every play, everything we do, even through the lens of photographers who are in our world. Everything we do, we see humanity. I'm so proud to be part of this extremely difficult business, but it has helped me throughout my years to look at the world in ways that I wish that everyone around the world could.
You've made me really smile, and it's a very deep smile because in my past life, as one would say, I was in the filming industry and in the television industry. And you are so right, Russell, because they are the most extraordinary people. And there is something about them. They brought so much joy, and I still have many, many friends from that era of my life. And I can certainly agree with you wholeheartedly that artists, storytellers are the most important people in the world because they give us hope. They remind us of something within us that sometimes we forget, and that is the joy of living and the joy of servanthood to others. And I totally understand, and it's something very close to my heart. So they are people of my heart. So I understand when you speak like that. It brings a joy to me to hear that.
That's beautifully said. Yeah, I tend to ramble a bit when I speak of my perspective of life and joy, but the majority of my life has been artistic, and
Yeah.
I've been able to see and retain and absorb things that, I won't say I would have never seen them, but I may have missed them were it not for the fact that through the arts, I see that they are me and I am them. And I am fortunate for that part of my journey.
Yes, and somehow the soul of an artist always goes through so much, I think, so much. And that makes them better artists because
Yes.
we feel somehow differently and more passionately and more in a way it's like an opera. Our life is like an opera.
Nice. Yeah, it is. It,
uh,
it
you know,
is.
and
Right.
the more you are, I suppose, real in your own life, that one of the artists, you become a far more greater artist, one that can actually bring so much with your words. I know you're an author, you're a director, you're a producer, there's so many things. And an artist is all of that. And somewhere in all of us, there is a hidden artist.
I think so. Yeah. You know what? I think so. I think we all have a story or a song, if you will. My friend and mentor, August Wilson, always speaks of that song in
Yes.
our heart. All of us have a song and we need to sing it. And my prayer is that at some point, for a moment, for a second, for a lifetime, that we all at some point get to sing our song, as it were, to the world, or if nothing else, to ourselves, and find
So
that
true.
peace. Yes, that truth.
So true.
Yeah, I love that.
I love what you're saying, and it reminds me last week, I was in a forest and there was a robin, you know, those little birds,
Yes.
and it was following us everywhere. And I'm always convinced that a robin or a bird is a messenger from somewhere, from another world, I'm sure. And it was singing. And I remember thinking to myself, I heard that, I don't know if this is true, but I heard someone said to me that every bird has 400 songs in their repertoire. And you now saying that has just reminded me of that. And I think to myself, what makes that bird sing a particular song on that day?
I've said that before looking out the window. I've
Have
said
you?
that. No, I have. Listen, I am, for everything that I am, and as flawed a human as I am, nature moves me in ways I don't have the vocabulary to explain. But birds and their whole prehistoric history and what have you, the dinosaurs, and to be able to see them, and there's so many of them, and so many different colors and sizes and what have you. Birds fascinate me, and
Yeah.
I've asked myself, even sitting here, I've spoken with my family, I wonder what they're saying. I
Yes,
wonder if they're communicating with each other. Or are
of
they
course.
talking about us from their perch on the wire or in the tree? What do they see? I ask myself things that I sometimes call silly. I ask myself those questions because I often wonder if they are seeing and enjoying what they are looking at as us, as I enjoy looking at them. That's a little sidebar to my existence. But yeah, you know what? You see that, Mimi, because you care. And that's the
Oh,
essence of what I get from me. You care. We don't recognize those things if we don't care. And I think I'd like to start my day, if you will, with care. Because
yes,
from that we find out humanity, but that's why you see that. That's why you saw that. And
yes.
yeah, I don't have the the vocabulary to speak in depth about that, but it doesn't surprise me based on the Mimi Novic that I've met, and even
Oh,
the woman I'm speaking to now. That doesn't surprise me one bit.
how very sweet. Thank you so much, Russell. Really, and likewise. And you remind me always of the positivity of being human, of the joy of reminding oneself to be a better person. And talking to you tonight, you reminded me so much of, you know, Maya Angelou, where she has that very famous book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings.
Yes, I do. I have it and I've read it.
And I think of those words, and I always think we are in a cage, us human beings in the body, which is our cage, and our
Hmm.
spirit will be free one day.
Hmm.
Um, and birds somehow, like yourself, I think to myself, we can be free. It's a state. It's a state of being. And your being has a tremendous feeling of freedom for me.
It is an ongoing process. I would say that. Because there are moments, and I should clarify for whoever may be listening, but affirmation again for myself, that it is difficult and every day is not that easy. I speak to what I hope for. I speak about what I hope for, but I'm not dismissed or oblivious to what's happening around us. There are difficult moments. We are in a difficult time here in our country, and because of what the U.S. is, thusly in other places in the world. And I'm not at all dismissing that reality. A lot of what we are experiencing here as a country over the years, we've caused. Growth has a price. There's also the reality of just because you can doesn't mean that you should. So I'm not at all blind to what's going on. Again, I speak to what I hope for, and I my silent and public prayer is that peace, wherever it is, however fleeting, can visit all of us at some point. I respect what you say and how you say it because, again, having visited with you again, it is consistent in the essence of who you are. And I think in a conversation, we can all go down the rabbit hole of wonderment, of praise and accolades. But I think what's consistent is the humanity that we find, and it's not always in a wonderful light. There are some truths that we have to address and accept and look at. But I think in the conversation, which I think sometimes is missing, particularly here in our country, is the human conversation. It doesn't mean accept. It doesn't mean to like. The strength of humans is to agree, to disagree. I believe in all of that as a way to move forward. But from where I sit right now, and with the genius of technology and where you sit, we're not answering all the problems. We're not going to find the cure to my situation. But the fact, Ms. Novic, that you care and that it was worth it to you to contact me, and that the ALS network has been so supportive and a base that I can come from in sharing with my friends and actual family and friends on social media. I was in the halls of Congress last week in the office of one of our Congress people and her staff, rather, and I said to her something that just came to mind, that one phone call, one conversation, one handshake, one lunch, one intersecting in the hallway can change the lives of so many people if we can just find common ground. And literally, across the hall, there are offices of people from the other side of the aisle, if you will, who have extremely opposite opinions of how we should function, but they're just across the hall. Peace is just across the hall. A cure is just across the hall. It's not like we have to go to Mars to cure ALS or any other cancers or ignorance, which is its own disease. We don't have to do that. We have it within our reach, and it sounds nearly Pollyannic and overly optimistic, but sitting where I was and knowing that 3 weeks hence, what we did as a group with the ALS, our network, and the other affiliates, we were able to convey to our politicians, our representatives, if you will, to vote to move this situation out the committee into a larger vote, because we are still in the midst of trying to raise $100 million by 2030 that will hopefully help to bolster, if not reinforce, the drive we have toward finding a cure. I say all of that to say kindness is across the hall. Kindness is the person next to you in line at the grocery store. But it begins here, and I'm not afraid to share my thoughts and feelings on that. I'm not concerned about where it lands. I'm giving it the way my mama gave it to me, and I hope it works for someone, because somewhere along my way, someone shared with me. Someone shook my hand. Someone hugged me, and I got names coming out of Houston and Huntsville from of those people who those memories lasted with me. And I'd like to think, whether I remember their names or whatever, that wherever they touch me, for instance, like that Robin that you saw in those 400 songs, that whatever they said to me, whatever they left with me, that even in this trying time, I'm able to share. I'm happy when I do that. I need more. I want more. I want to work until I can't, and all those. But this is now an extension of my storytelling, and I think I'm okay with that. I am. I have my moments with my daughter, with my son, my family here, there are tears, because I want to see them have their full life. But I think I've been given enough to know that they'll be okay. And I'm going to be okay. Yeah, I'm going to be okay.
You're going to be okay. You're going to be more than okay. Because you're not just an okay person. You are a remarkable person. And actually, it does matter to say to people what we feel about them if they make an impact on our lives. We need to say that to somebody, because one day, who knows, words can change somebody's life when we least expect it. You never know what news you're going to get, hope that you're going to get. So we must have hope. That is the most important thing to hold on to. And keep shining that phenomenal light. Turn it up even brighter, Russell.
I believe that, and I'm trying, and I will. Yeah.
Thank you from my heart for coming on tonight for sharing such really an amazing story and for being present here, really in all of your essence.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It was an honor, and I think we'll plan for this. The next time I come back to you, I will say, Miss Novak, Novic, rather, excuse me, we have a cure. That will be our next conversation.
Fingers
Because,
crossed, and God willing, that
yeah,
will be the first thing that you say to me.
yes, we have a cure.
We're going to make a
You're
deal
that
with each
close.
other that is what you're going to say to me.
Yes, without anything else, you'll pick up, you'll come on, and I'll say, we have a cure. Because we are truly that close. We are truly that close.
Russell, I wouldn't expect anything else from you. And tell the people out there, please, where they can get more information about ALS, where, if you want them to contact you or to find out more about you, where they can do that.
Let's start with the giant. ALSnetwork.org. That is the site. There are others around the country, and again, like I said, around the world. Out west here, we are the largest. We are ALSnetwork.org. On Instagram, it is your ALS network. So I guess that's a hashtag, your ALS network. My page that is really represented as well is A.Russell Andrews. That's Instagram. Facebook is Russell Andrews. My the picture of my children's book is on that. Shameless plug. And
Oh, your children have a book?
no, it's my children's book, How I Made You Shoes. I use
Well,
that image.
tell everybody again about the book.
Oh, yeah, I've written a children's book called Shoes. And it's been out for a couple of years now. And Mimi and I, you were the first podcast I did in terms of exposing shoes to a larger audience, and I thank you for that.
The pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. And that on my end, the podcast was viewed and listened to a number of times here and overseas as well. So, yeah, you never know who you're going to touch. But yes, those are our outlets. ALSnetwork.org, your ALS Network on Instagram. My Instagram is A.Russell Andrews. And there's also a second one, which is Choose the Book. Hashtag Choose the Book, which has my book info, but also my ALS info, because we are also moving toward, and I'm very happy and proud about this, all proceeds moving forward from the book will go to ALS Network. Yeah, why not? I'm going to retain the name because I have plans,
Of course.
Yeah, even though God is laughing at my plans, but I have plans. So I retain the book and the name of it, but the proceeds will all go to be used, however, in research and caregiving or what have you moving forward. So That's who I am. That's what my family and I are doing.
And Russell, do you have a website?
Oh, forgive me. Yes. A.RussellAndrews.com.
Okay.
www.arusselandrews.com. That's me.
That's
And
you. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that's me.
That's you. That's wonderful you. I can't thank you enough. It's been an absolute honor. And we have a deal. You and I have a deal that the
Yeah,
next time you come on, you will have news, wonderful news, and that
I
there will
will.
be a cure.
I will. We're that close, Mimi, and I pray that I'm the one to share it with you.
Thank you. You're in my prayers, Russell.
Thank
And
you. I
I wish you
appreciate that.
always all the very, very best.
Thank you, Mimi. Love you, dear. And we
Oh,
will talk
lots
soon.
of love. Lots of love.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye, dear.
Bye-bye. Bye. Bye. A.Russell Andrews. What an extraordinary story. And it just shows us that each one of us has something to give to the world, regardless of our circumstances. Keep wishing, keep hoping, and thank you again for joining my guests and myself on Secrets for an Inspirational Life. Look after yourselves, do something beautiful for yourselves. Until next time, love each other and take care.
Thank you for listening to Secrets for an Inspirational Life, brought to you by your host, Mimi Novic. Please remember to subscribe to the podcast and see you in the next episode. For more information about Mimi Novic and her books, music, and inspirational work, take a look at her website, www.miminovic.co.uk.